Welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals without pain. In each episode, I'll share tips and strategies that will help you stay safe and pain-free while you're working out. I'll also interview experts in the field of fitness and pain management. So if you're ready to learn how to stay active and pain-free, then subscribe to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones, and today I am joined by Philip Kupins. He is the CEO of the Pickle Juice Company, and Pickle Juice uses a special blend of vinegar and grains that actually stops the nerve signal that causes muscle cramps. It's the only drink scientifically proven to prevent cramping, and athletes swear by it. Phil's background spans from leading sales teams at 20th Century Fox to coaching rugby in Dallas. He is all about real results, innovative products, and helping athletes perform at their best. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk.
So, pickle juice.
Yeah.
And it's not about pickles.
It's not. It's kind of funny. We suffer kind of the same problem, I guess, that like Coke or Xerox or Kodak or Sharpie or Kleenex suffer, where we've become sort of synonymous with a category. And it's interesting because we spend more time clarifying that we don't have anything to do with pickles or pickle brine, and really nobody's out there juicing pickles. We just call it that because we use a proprietary grain of acetic acid, as you mentioned, that blocks the nerve receptors that cause muscle cramping. That acetic acid happens to make the product taste a little bit like pickles. So we leaned into that a little bit, and we figured we could either call it what it does or call it what it tastes like. But if I gave you a bottle of Cramps Topper 9,000 10 years ago when we came up with this thing that's like, oh, by the way, it's going to like interact with your neurological response signals, people probably freak out. So we wanted to make it as unintimidating as possible and familiar. So we leaned into the name and called it Pickle Juice.
Nice. Okay, now I have to go back into my area of expertise, which is very minimal when it comes to this. So I thought muscle cramps came from dehydration and low electrolytes, and you're saying it's more neurological. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, you're not entirely wrong. And most people think, I mean, we joke that when you talk to 10 people, you'll get 12 answers on how to treat muscle cramps. Some will say you're dehydrated, you're low on potassium, you have other electrolyte imbalances, stretching, whatever, right? But there's about a dozen different triggers that stimulate a neurological response that really causes a cramp. So it's really just a hyper engagement of the muscle, because if you picture muscles on a microbiological level like you do on a macro level, like if you flex your bicep, you have to release your tricep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you picture that on microbiological level and you get that pulsating that precedes a cramp, in particularly an exercise induced cramping, that pulsating is like a quick fire extend and contract message that you're getting. But at some point, the relax message is superseded by the contract message, and you're just hyper contracting. It's like contract, contract, contract. What we do is block that signal and sort of reset it, and then flood the area with the electrolytes that will sort of help the root cause problem. So it's sort of a 1-2 punch, but it interacts with your neurological system by engaging with the esophageal receptors at the back of your throat, which is why it kind of has to be a liquid. If you used a pill or anything like that, it would just bypass that. Uh, yeah, it's pretty wild because it's a 100% USDA organic certified. It's a food rated product that is also the only product in the world that's sort of scientifically proven to stop cramps, and it does it in 60 seconds.
I know that because I have a friend of mine whose son played football, and it was probably a good solid year of trying everything for this kid. It just like, is it this Gatorade? Is it that Gatorade? Is it this, is it salt? Is it whatever? Like trying to find different things. And then I don't know who told her about pickle juice. And then all of a sudden she's like, there's this thing. And I'm like pickle, like go grab. And she's like, no, it's not in a jar. It's actual thing. And she said, and it nails them like right as soon as, because they know, like football players, a lot of times they can feel it coming on. Like you said, there's that that flare, that little warning that it's like, "Oh, this is gonna get bad real fast if I don't take care of it." And so as soon as he would do that, he'd hit the sideline, boom, and then he'd just wait a little bit, and then he was good to go. And it always amazed me because if you're drinking Gatorade or if you're drinking some kind of electrolyte drink, it takes a while for it to get into your system for you to reap the benefits. And a lot of times it's almost a recovery type drink as opposed to a rehydration in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, and I love hearing those stories. I mean, those are the things that kind of excite us, and we frequently get phone calls from people that are a little older who get nighttime leg cramps, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you've like changed my life." And I'm like, "Whoa, we're not curing cancer here," but it's humbling and it's so rewarding to get to hear these stories and how we can affect someone's performance on the athletic field or help them get a good night's sleep, right? And I mean, I've heard stories of kids in South Africa that weren't getting signed to pro rugby contracts because they were prolific crampers and we were able to eliminate that for them. And I've heard some stories of guys getting professional contracts because now that is no longer a limiting factor to their abilities. And it's really cool. It's really awesome to be part of a product like that. You know, we like to say we're redefining a category that we call the hyperfunctional beverage space. And we're working with some other stuff in our lab. We're about to, a couple weeks at Expo West in Anaheim. We're going to be doing a whole relaunch, which is going to be the foundation for a lot of really exciting things that we're doing, specifically targeting nighttime leg cramps will be our first product. We're also experimenting with vasodilation and stuff like that. So I really, really love hearing those stories. It's fun to be part of that.
So how different, I guess, because I know my mother used to have nighttime cramps all the time, and the biggest thing was everybody would drink tonic water.
Yeah, the quinine.
And but how different does the pickle juice, I mean, obviously it's hitting receptors differently than the quinine is, but is there more of a lasting effect, or how long does it stay in your system?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because this is a neural inhibitor, you kind of have to work from the cramp backwards, right? Which sounds kind of weird. Now, if you're in a sports environment, it's easy because when you drink our product, it'll stop the cramp in 60 seconds, but also prevent it from recurring for about 45 to 60 minutes. Yeah, so you've got a very predictive window of efficacy. So it's not like something you can take in the morning as a supplement and then have relief all day. It's an acute treatment methodology because we're redirecting that nerve signal, right? And we're not tricking the body, we're not hiding an injury or anything like that. We're just sort of resetting that signal and that effect that the acidity, the acetic acid that we use will overwhelm that misfire signal causing the cramping for about 45 minutes and then you have to do it again. So when you get a nighttime leg cramp, those people, we have larger format products specifically for that. They just put it on the nightstand. If they wake up, they drink it. Don't even have to get out of bed. Just take a big old swig, uh, 10 milliliters per 10 kgs of body weight to be specific. They'll relief in 60 seconds. We actually did a study through Sterling University using the UK national swim team as test subjects, and they experienced 100% relief within 60 seconds.
Wow. That's pretty cool because I know, like, for her, her toes would get cramped, and then she would deal with soreness for days because of that cramp, whether it was a calf cramp or for a lot of times for her, it was like that calf cramp situation. It seems to kinda grab you at night
Yeah,
for
that's circulatory driven for us as we get older. The heart's a muscle. It has to work harder to pump the blood to our extremities, and when we're lying down, it's harder to get that circulation going. Lower extremity cramping is extremely common as we, inevitably start getting a little older. And that soreness is actually like micro tearing because of the physical trauma that's caused by the engagement of the muscle
Mm.
allow that to physically heal, which is why we tell people take it as close to the cramping event as possible, hopefully while you're awake, before you break through, like when you get that twinging, because that's going to prevent any physiological effects that you then have to deal with, that soreness that you talk.
So you've talked about, your athletes in South Africa, and it's interesting that you see a lot of these athletes that are doing it, and it's what is your favorite moment? I mean, when you talked about the English team, is there, like, Like, is there one moment where you feel like we're actually getting there? Like, this person or this team is really enjoying this product, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, it's humbling, it's surreal, really, because we'll see our product being used in its like retail consumable container, like on ESPN on like Monday Night Football. And I remember Fletcher Cox was on the field a couple of years ago playing for the Eagles, drinking it on camera. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Just this past year in a Rangers game, like on the 4th of July, prime time, like just like Independence Day, baseball, and the pitcher for the Rangers drank like 3 bottles of this on the mound because he was cramping. And then like fan groups would send memes out comparing his stats pre-pickle juice and post-pickle. It's like, oh my gosh. And it becomes this like micro viral sort of subculture. And it's amazing because we don't pay anybody to use our product. And we take a lot of pride in that because we want to be authentic. We want to be able to
Mhm.
tell people that when you see somebody using this product, they're using it because it works. They're not using it because we pay them to use it. We're not telling them or spinning anything. We usually, rather than going to, I don't know, sales shows, we'll go to athletic trainer conventions, we'll go to dietitian conventions, nutritionist conventions, and we'll speak more about the science and the functionality than we do about the traditional marketing vehicles. So it's a really unique way to go to market, but for us, it's very important to be authentic. And that's not just about what we put in the bottle, but it's also how we operate day to day. We use 100% recycled materials that are all locally sourced whenever possible. We do our best to be good stewards of um, everything we do. Like, our company core values are all about like integrity and collaboration and champion mindset and those types of concepts. So we take a lot of pride in walking the walk as well. I mean, we live in such a transparent society that we think it's really, really important to have a product not only that works really well, but that also people can feel confident in using because the people that are making it and how we're making it is something that they can get behind.
And, like, why did you choose to join this mission? Because, I mean, you could be doing anything, and, it feels like you're a teacher,
Thank you.
right? Because you're very well versed in what you're doing, and there's clearly some pride in there. But why did you make that shift and to work for Pickle Juice?
I mean, everything just kind of came together, and it was the perfect opportunity and perfect product to that combines sort of my history in hospitality and food science, my athletic history, my desire to do something different, do something that mattered, and really be able to create something. And I've been so fortunate and so blessed to have some of the most amazing people I get to work with every single day, to walk into an environment, a professional environment where people genuinely care, not just for the success of the organization on a um, quantifiable revenue perspective, but from a real perspective, it's awesome. I'm lucky, but it was just it kind of felt all the little things I knew all kind of came together to allow me to play a little bit of scientist, a little bit of CPG, a little bit of sales, a little bit of marketing. And now fortunately I have people that know a lot more than me when it comes to skill sets driving the brand forward.
But it sounds to me like you were looking for something that meant something, and that says a lot about you as a human. I don't know you too deeply, but I think that's a big deal right now, is that a lot of us feel like our life has to have meaning, and a lot of our meaning comes through our careers, and if you're working in a job that you just feel like you're being held hostage at, then you're not going to be in the best mind space, and obviously other things will creep up as well, but it sounds like this is a really solid company and a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody's perfect, and as a leader, I'm certainly not perfect either, and I have my moments, but it's you kind of remember how lucky you are and remember how lucky you are for the people that are around you, but it's and finding that balance of motivating while holding being accountable, A, to yourself and holding those around you accountable to themselves. But I think once we can build a culture where everybody fully buys into the mission, it kind of takes care of itself. And I find
Mhm.
a certain type of person just gravitates to wanting to be part of our organization. And I mean, I'm incredibly proud of my team. We were acquired by private equity a year ago, and to date, we've been able to not only keep everybody that's been there, and they've been able to make that transition from a founder-led company from my partner that originally started the company, and then I joined the company, to a completely different, more, we'll call it formal organization that is built for massive growth. And our infrastructure is being built today, not for where we are today, but where we want to be in 5 years. And the fact that everybody there has been able to adapt, adjust, and embrace to the point that we haven't had to let anybody go. So we really hope that everybody can continue that pathway forward, because it's our true, genuine desire to have these people succeed. Because if you don't care about people, what's the point?
I would agree with you 100%. So, for everyday athletes that are listening to this, what is the best way to use pickle juice for the best results? Like, if I'm out on my bike, do I take it on a ride with me? Or is this, more of a nighttime application? Or what is the best way?
Yeah, so it depends on your application, of course. So if you're riding specifically, what I do when I do my endurance rides is I'll put it in it's pretty hot here in Texas where we live, and we have these insulated water bottles, the podium ice bottles, and I'll plunge one in the one in my seat tube. So by the time I get to my like 60 and then start twinging and take it, it's not like really hot, because I learned that if you put it in your back pocket, it tastes like a pickle flavored tea.
Okay,
Some
that's
people like
gross.
it, not my favorite, but it doesn't have to be chilled. You can drink it at any temperature, so it's just a flavor preference. But as we were talking earlier, it'll block the muscle cramps for about 45 minutes, right? And then you have to take it in. So if you're in a field sport environment, for instance, like a rugby game, we referenced that earlier, and I'm currently involved with rugby here in Dallas as well. We have athletes that are prolific crampers, so they'll take one before the game, a couple at halftime, and that usually resolves it. But if you're an athlete that gets that twinging, even though you take those measured precautions and you get that twinging, take it as soon as possible, because once you break through, you're going to have some of that physical trauma that you talked about earlier with the leg cramping. If you get leg cramps at night, put it on your nightstand. And,
Mhm.
we have large format 16-ounce bottles, and just grab it, drink it. Then you don't have to aggravate that irritation. So it's kind of one of those things when I'm riding, I take it when I get that, like, it's always my right calf for some reason when I'm riding my bike, and I get that you get that twinging, and it's about to happen, and you try to change your cadence, and like, oh, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And like, there it is.
Position.
Yeah, try everything. And the old joke we hear is, never try anything new on race day or game day unless you're cramping, because then it doesn't matter anyway. You're done. so,
Right.
so we're also lucky that people are willing to try this thing acutely. But yeah, so you want to do it as close to that cramping event as possible.
That's good. Thank you so much. Phil, thank you so much for joining me. How can we get in touch with you, or where can we find your products?
Yeah, so we're in about 15,000 retail stores in the United States today. So, from your local grocer to your sporting goods store, your independent running shop, independent bike shops, all the way through to Walmart. Of course, you can find us on Amazon.com as well. And if you want to find more information, including the scientific studies, links to those studies, some testimonials, you can go to our website, picklepower.com, or just pick up the phone, and I guarantee a human being will actually answer.
Yes, I love that. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.